When an avoidant partner feels the pull to come back, they don't arrive with straightforward words, they test the depth of their feelings through subtle cues and small reactions. This isn't a game or stubbornness, but a reflection of their complex psychology, a mix of fear, protection, and control. Initially, they observe from a distance, will you react or will you remain calm? Then gradually they draw closer, testing your patience, resilience, and boundaries. For them, it's all a way of asking, can I be close without triggering my own fears? But remember, this process isn't meant to punish or blame you. It gives you an opportunity to show your strength, composure, and emotional independence. It's the time to demonstrate that love for you is rooted not in fear or anxiety, but in peace and stability. These small moments and reactions measure whether the connection can be rebuilt on a safe and strong foundation. This process is essential because it allows both of you to create a new relationship, free from old fears and uncertainty. Now let's explore each moment one by one to see how it shapes the connection and how you can remain strong throughout. And if you want this entire journey to be clear and helpful for you, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. The silence test. This is the very first test your avoidant partner uses when the pull to come back quietly begins. It doesn't start with words, it starts with absence, a pause that feels heavier than it should. They don't block you, they don't argue, they simply vanish into quiet. No explanation, no goodbye, just space. You'll notice the stillness, days stretch, conversations fade, the familiar rhythm that once felt normal is replaced by a kind of invisible waiting. They aren't gone completely, just silent enough to make you notice the emptiness they left behind. And that's exactly what this moment is designed for. An avoidant doesn't use silence to punish. They use it to observe. They're not asking, do you miss me? They're asking, can you exist without me? Because deep down, avoidants fear losing control inside connection. Silence is how they test if you'll collapse into emotion or rise into balance. If you chase, explain, or demand closure, their nervous system reads that as danger. But if you breathe through the silence, something shifts. This test isn't about love, it's about safety. They're trying to see if your peace depends on their presence, or if it comes from within you. The truth is, avoidants don't trust closeness until they see that you can survive distance. So how do you pass this test? You don't move toward them, you move toward yourself. No checking, no waiting, no subtle hints online. Let the silence breathe, and fill it with your own energy again. Do the things that remind you who you are when no one's watching. When you do that, something powerful happens. Their illusion of control breaks. They expected your panic, instead they meet your calm, and in that calm their fear softens, because now they're seeing something new, that you can love them without depending on them, that your quiet isn't absence, it's strength, and that's the moment the silence starts to echo back. Not as distance, but as curiosity, and quietly the second test begins. The patience test. This is the second test, the one that quietly begins after silence fails to shake you. When they realize you didn't chase, didn't beg, didn't fall apart, something in them shifts. Now they want to see how long your calm can last. They reappear, slowly, cautiously, not with commitment but with crumbs, a random message. A delayed reply, a vague, how have you been, that arrives out of nowhere. It's not an invitation, it's an observation. They're watching what you do next. The avoidance mind works like a pendulum, one side drawn to closeness, the other terrified by it. So they step in halfway, testing the balance. They'll start small, maybe promising to call, then disappearing again. They may seem warm one day, indifferent the next. This inconsistency isn't meant to confuse you, it's meant to measure your patience. They want to know, will you react, or will you remain steady through the in-between? Deep down, patience feels foreign to them. Their past has taught them that love comes with pressure, that affection always demands more. So when they show up inconsistently, they're not being cruel, they're subconsciously testing if your energy is safe enough to hold their hesitation. If you rush, they retreat. If you stay centered, they begin to relax into your calm. The truth behind this test is subtle but powerful. They're not testing your loyalty, they're testing your nervous system. Can you handle emotional delay without falling into panic? Can you let connection unfold without trying to control its pace? That's what patience really is, not waiting, but trusting time. The way to pass this test isn't through words or effort, It's through rhythm, through allowing space to breathe. Reply when you want to, not when you fear losing them. Keep your boundaries gentle but firm. Continue your life with quiet consistency, showing that your peace isn't tied to their timing, and slowly, something shifts inside them. Your steadiness begins to soothe their inner chaos. They stop expecting drama. They start associating you with safety instead of demand. That's when patience transforms into presence, when your calm becomes the invitation they can finally accept. And just when they start to lean in, the next test begins. The boundary test. This is the third test, the moment things start to feel real again. By now, your avoidant ex has seen that silence didn't break you, and that your patience wasn't a performance. So they move to something deeper, something that truly reveals who you've become. They test your boundaries. It doesn't always happen directly. Sometimes it's disguised as a casual favor. Can you help me with something? Or a last-minute call just to talk. Other times it's emotional. They share something personal, then disappear right after, leaving you wondering what it meant. Each small action is designed to answer one question: do you still lose yourself when I step closer? Avoidants fear closeness not because they don't care, but because they've learned that connection often comes with control. In their mind, boundaries blur too easily. Love becomes obligation, affection becomes expectation. So when they test you, they're not trying to disrespect you. They're trying to see if being close to you means losing themselves again. Here's the paradox: they crave connection, yet they push against it the moment it feels too easy. They'll cross small lines, cancel plans, or go silent after sharing something deep, just to see how you respond. If you chase, explain, or try to fix things, they retreat into old fear. But if you stay calm, acknowledge their space, and hold your own, they feel something rare: respect mixed with safety. Passing the boundary test isn't about being cold, it's about being clear. It's about showing that love can exist alongside independence. If they pull back, don't rush to fill the gap. If they overstep, gently name it without anger. Show that your care isn't fragile, it's conscious, and something shifts again. They start to see that being close to you doesn't mean losing autonomy, that your connection has room for both hearts to breathe, that your boundaries aren't walls, they're structure. For the first time, they begin to trust not just your love, but your strength. Because emotional safety isn't built by always saying yes, it's built by knowing when to say no with peace. And once that trust begins to form, you'll notice it, the next test quietly taking shape behind their calm eyes. The trigger test. This test appears when things start feeling warm again, when conversations begin to flow, laughter slips in, and the distance between you starts to fade. Just when you think the wall between you has finally softened, they suddenly do something that shakes you. They mention an old conflict, bring up a sensitive topic, or react coldly after a moment of connection. It feels confusing, even hurtful. But it's not random, it's deliberate, though not always conscious. This is what I call the trigger test. It starts quietly. Maybe they recall something from the past, a moment that once caused tension, and say it with a casual tone just to watch your reaction. Or they might create emotional distance after an intimate conversation, pulling back right when you thought you were close again. In their mind, this is safety check mode. They're asking themselves, if I let my guard down again, will it end like before? Avoidants often carry deep emotional memories of feeling trapped or overwhelmed in love, so when things start feeling good, their nervous system panics. They subconsciously recreate a small version of the old pain, a trigger, just to see how you'll handle it this time. It's not meant to punish you, it's meant to protect them from being hurt again. Here's where most people fail this test: they react, they defend, explain, or try to fix the moment. And just like that, the avoidance fear is confirmed, it's happening again. But if you stay calm, breathe through the sting, keep your voice soft, and your presence steady, everything changes. You're no longer part of their old story. You become something new. Passing the trigger test isn't about pretending nothing hurts, it's about responding, not reacting, saying, I understand why that came up, instead of, why would you say that now? It's about showing emotional maturity instead of emotional panic. And when you do, they notice, their defenses start to loosen. They realize that conflict doesn't have to mean chaos, that love can exist even when discomfort shows up. In that quiet recognition, something powerful begins. They start trusting you with their triggers instead of testing you with them, and that shift, it's where real healing starts. The freedom test, this is the final and most revealing test. It comes when the walls have lowered, conversations feel safe again, and you can sense that something deeper is forming between you. But just when you think you're both finally in sync, they pull away. They cancel plans, take longer to reply, or suddenly need space, and you're left wondering, what went wrong this time? But nothing went wrong. This is the freedom test. For an avoidant, closeness and loss of freedom often feel like the same thing. They crave connection, but the moment they sense commitment, their survival instincts flare up. They're not testing your patience now, they're testing your energy. They want to see if love with you means pressure or peace. It begins subtly. They'll step back, not to punish you but to breathe. They want to see what happens when they pull away. Will you chase? Will you panic? Will you start over-explaining, like before? Or will you stay grounded, trusting the space instead of fearing it? This test is the hardest because it touches your deepest insecurities. Every instinct will tell you to close the gap, to remind them how good things were. But passing the freedom test means doing the opposite. You honor their space, not as a punishment to yourself, but as a reflection of your self-worth. You allow distance without creating drama. You show that love can breathe. Avoidants aren't drawn to people who chase them, they're drawn to people who understand freedom. When you don't react, they begin to feel safe in your calm. They start realizing that being with you doesn't mean being trapped, it means being understood. And that feeling, safety within connection, is something they've never truly experienced before. When you pass the freedom test, their fear of losing independence dissolves. They begin reaching out again, this time not from nostalgia or curiosity, but from genuine desire. They feel free, yet connected, independent, yet seen. That's when the avoidant finally stops running, because now they don't have to choose between love and freedom. With you they finally discover they can have both. If you've come this far, remember this truth: you can't rebuild something new by repeating what broke it. When your avoidant ex slowly starts coming back, resist the urge to fall into old patterns, over-explaining, chasing, proving. Those habits come from fear, not strength. And fear is the one thing that keeps avoidance running. Don't repeat the past just because it feels familiar. Familiar doesn't mean safe, it just means unhealed. Instead, show through your silence, patience and boundaries that you've grown. You're no longer trying to convince anyone of your worth, you're simply embodying it. If they reach out, don't rush into deep talks about the breakup or what went wrong. Let your calm energy speak for you. The version of you they left behind was reactive. The version they're drawn back to now is grounded. That's the difference. So don't go back to chasing clarity. Don't reopen old wounds just to prove how much you care. You've already done the hardest part. You've learned how to stay steady when everything feels uncertain. Your peace is your power now. And if your avoidant comes back, let them see that your love is no longer built on fear of loss, but on trust in yourself. Because the real test was never about them, it was about you, and you've already passed it by refusing to become who you once were. When you stop repeating the past, you quietly teach them, and yourself, that love can start again, but only on new ground.